All right, what's going on, y'all? So today I'm going to be telling you how I'm going to be training during my PCT coming off of 5 years of testosterone. The other day, I announced that I've now come off testosterone after 5 years of being on TRT. During that time, also cycling steroids as a pro bodybuilder. And I'm currently in that process of PCT. I've had my last HCG injection, so now I'm fully natty and in the process of regaining my natural function. I'm doing this to, one, regain my natural function. I'm 32 years old and I fully believe that I can regain natural function and I should regain natural function. And then two, regain fertility. Being on TRT, it plummeted out my fertility, and my wife and I are trying to conceive a child, and this is going to give us the best odds of doing that. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how I'm going to be training during this process, because this is a very, very important part of PCT. And I've been asked by several of y'all what my training is going to be looking like and what my diet is going to be looking like. So today we're going to talk about the training side of it, and I'm going to save the diet side of it for another video. But, when doing research on this, there's not many guys that have done what I'm doing, where they were a bodybuilder or they were on long-term TRT and then decided to come off. TRT is typically a lifelong decision. And there are many cases in which guys come off for a period of time to regain fertility and to conceive a child, but then they go right back on. There's only, a few public accounts out there of people documenting their time PCTing from testosterone to regain natural function and frankly stay off if they can stay off. It's happened with many guys, but there's just not many guys that have reported on it. The few that have reported on it, didn't do training in the most optimal way. Some did, but a lot that I read on didn't. A lot jump into things like endurance running and completely change up their programming. And it can very much negatively affect how your PCT goes or extend the time needed to actually regain your function. So today I'm going to be telling you the programming, the training programming I've got planned out to regain my natural function in the quickest time possible, the most efficient time possible, and to the max level possible. Get my total natural test as high as possible. So I've been asked by a couple of y'all, am I getting back into ultra running? So no. So way back in the day, before I was into competitive bodybuilding, I was an ultra runner, and it was actually during my last 50-mile ultra marathon that I had my blood work done and tested, and that's when they put me on TRT. My testosterone was very, very low point, and that makes sense. When you do endurance running, especially extreme endurance running, your cortisol is always elevated and it plummets your testosterone down. Endurance running is not very cohesive to having very, very solid testosterone numbers. And that's fine, if that's your goal. And, during the times when you'll bring mileage down and all that, it regains. But right now, when I have and I'm going to get a blood test done this next week to see what my test levels are right now. But, I'm assuming after all this time, and this is essentially week 1 of the PCT process, no HCG, been off from testosterone for weeks now. I'm assuming that it's at its lowest point. Frankly, I feel pretty great, but I'm assuming it's at, its lowest point right now. So if I was to add endurance running in, or something that's going to cause quite a bit of cortisol, that's not going to be the greatest for me getting my test levels back to a high level as quick as possible. In the future, I want to add in endurance running after I've already regained natural function, had it stabilized for a bit. That's another discussion. But during a PCT, you really, really want to limit the volume of whatever training you're doing, that it's not overburdening your system and causing cortisol to rise. So, most of what I do is bodybuilding, but more on a power building focus. You guys know I've not been focused more on the, I've definitely not been focused on the stage, and I've really not been focused as much on the physique, but still using bodybuilding as kind of like a aesthetic struggle, still, having my deep pain caves, doing high intensity bodybuilding. It's a style of training that I love. So what I'm doing here is I am keeping the intensity high, but I've brought volume down. So instead of training 5 days a week right now, I'm training 4 days a week, 1 week. And the next week, I'll be training 5 days a week and alternating those. So 4 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. 4 of those days will be spent in the gym. And then on the week where I have a 5th day, it's going to be my garage gym sessions that y'all have seen on this channel. That has a relatively low volume amount. You know, I've got some Zercher squats in place. I do farmer's carries, walks, and then I do like a little HIIT session. So the volume really is kept on the lower end. And then during my lifting sessions, essentially what I'm doing is I'm having a leg day, I'm having a back and arms day, I'm having a push day, and then I'm having a full posterior day. And those are my 4 sessions. Volume, I would say, is on the medium level for me. But you know, the whole goal here is kind of maintaining my top set strength numbers as best I can, and really driving intensity. You know, the whole focus here is not to be, you know, in a huge growth phase, anything like that. And I'm going to get to the diet section, you know, on the next video. But you know, the whole focus right now is essentially having my body be in a very balanced state, that the lifting stimulates the testosterone function. So that's where the intensity comes in, keeping compound lifts in, like heavy squats, heavy deadlifts, of course, like heavy bench. You know, that's really stimulates test growth, but without overdoing volume that I'm overtraining in any capacity with right now, what I'm assuming to be lower test numbers, that it keeps, you know, the cortisol high and keeps the testosterone suppressed. This is a whole balancing act, because you absolutely do want the heavy lifting in. If you are someone wanting to PCT, you know, big mistake I see so many guys do is, like, as soon as they decide to come off, they decide to go ahead and drop off the lifting. That is absolutely not what you should do. You should keep the lifting in, because that's going to help stimulate the test. You just don't want to go overboard with it. And, you know, most bodybuilders are training at a level that, you know, they're benefiting from having TRT in place, or even more than TRT, and that's allowing for extra recovery and all that. So I have to find where I can essentially have really solid recovery at my current natural levels, but I'm pushing the intensity as far as keeping the heavy compounds in place, and essentially trying to max out those lifts as best as possible. Not with, you know, 1 rep maxes, anything like that in my rep ranges. So, you know, my compound lifts are typically in the 6 to 10-ish rep range, depending on what the movement is. But that's the whole plan right now, is keeping my training how I like it. A lot of heavy, intense lifting. The volume has just been brought down a little bit. 1, in amounts of days I'm training per week. You know, typically I would train 5 days a week, every week. With the power building, I was doing 5 days one week, 6 days the next, with that garage gym session. Now it's pulled back by a day. So 4 days, and then 5. Now with cardio, what I'm doing is the same thing you guys have been seeing. I'm doing plate carrier walking in the morning with my wife and dog. So this is just, you know, getting my heart rate up to about 125 to 140 beats per minute, walking for about 20 to 25 minutes. On the weekends, it's sometimes longer, going to the park. But that's kept, you know, at a level that it's not driving cortisol up, but it's still keeping really good cardiovascular shape. And it's going to keep my insulin sensitivity and my body fat percentage at a reasonable level. You know, right now, you don't want to go ahead and just pack on a bunch of body fat. That also will help or hurt you on increasing your natural test. You know, you want to be lean without being overly lean and shredded. You know, if you're diced as a natural person, you're going to have lower test. At the same point, any excess body fat is not helping you with your test level. So once again, this is a balancing act. But I've got the cardio in place, 1, because I enjoy it, and 2, because of the cardiovascular you know, benefits and all that. So that's the plan right now. I've got 4 days a week in the gym, a 5th day every other week, you know, garage gym workout. You know, that's just something I love. I just, you know, kind of, it's one of my favorite sessions of the week, just a gritty garage gym workout, but the volume is pretty low. And then, you know, 5 to 6 days a week doing fasted cardio with a plate carrier, and that's just walking at a pretty good pace. But that's the plan moving forward during this PCT. I'm going to keep you guys posted. Like I said, I've got a blood work test coming up this next week, and we'll see where I'm looking at about, I want to say it's a week and a half to 2 weeks post my last HCG injection, having already started the enclomiphene. So, you know, starting to stimulate my natural function coming back. So it'll be kind of the first blood tests to see where my natural levels are right now with everything kind of cleared from my system. And then right now I'm doing a 3 to 4 day water fast. So I'm eating no food. I'm doing that for spiritual reasons, but the physical benefit that's going to come out of it, as well as I'm completely clearing my system of any of those exogenous hormones or anything like that. They already should be pretty much out of my system, but this is going to really, really make sure it's all cleared for my system. So, the PCT is officially starting kind of right now during this whole process. This is kind of a way for me to kick it off. I don't suggest you do this. This is something I've got a little bit of experience with, but I'll keep you guys posted. The next video, at least in this series, should be talking about the diet portion of what I'm doing right now during the PCT, because that's almost just as important as what you do training side. So the whole point here is, guys, is if you're PCTing, limit like endurance running or anything that's going to, or crazy volume in the gym, or even backing off the gym, anything that's going to really, really drive up cortisol or not allow you to stimulate your natural tests, like having heavy compounds in and all that. But I hope this is of some value to you. I'm just going to be documenting this whole process, one, for me, but then two, when I was doing a bunch of research on this over the last several months, there's just frankly very few people that have talked about their experience coming off of long-term TRT and trying to regain natural function. So this is kind of a little bit of a journal for y'all to take advantage of. But if you could, go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. All glory to God. God bless y'all, and have a great rest of your day.